Welcome to the Just Nuke It podcast.
Yes.
This week we're
Launching
launching an apocalyptic probe
into
not one,
but two utterly chilling end-of-the-world scenarios
oh yeah,
ripped from the pages of flash fiction.
straight from flash fiction.
Forget
Yeah,
the usual meteors and zombies.
right.
These are apocalypses with a twist.
A little bit of a twist, yeah.
Designed to really make you think
Really make you think.
about what the end could look like.
Absolutely. What we have here
Yeah.
are two fascinatingly distinct takes on global catastrophe,
Okay.
moving beyond the well-trodden paths of disaster narratives.
Interesting.
They explore vulnerabilities we might not immediately consider.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
First up, picture this.
All right.
Your alarm goes off.
Okay.
It's the same song.
Uh-huh.
It's the same time.
Yeah.
And then it happens again.
Oh, no.
And again,
Oh, not
just a bad Monday.
Not just a case of the Mondays.
Right.
But the exact same 24 hours repeating
Oh, wow.
for everyone on the planet,
That's terrifying.
most of whom are completely oblivious to the loop.
Oh, my gosh.
So that's the deeply unsettling premise of our first flash fiction story, Groundhog Day from Hell.
Groundhog Day from Hell. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be probing how a time travel experiment,
All right.
gone sideways, traps the world in this relentless cycle
Okay.
and introduce you to the few individuals who retain their memory.
The ones who are aware
Yes.
of what's happening.
Exactly.
What's particularly thought-provoking about this scenario beyond the initial shock
Yeah.
is the potential unraveling of the very fabric of society and
Mhm.
individual psychology
Mm-hmm.
when consequence seems to evaporate.
I see.
What happens to motivation, to ethics, when every action is simply erased at the day's end?
Right.
For the vast majority.
Right, because like the world resets, but they don't.
Exactly. It's like a
Yes.
clean slate every single time for most people.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're shifting gears to an apocalyptic probe of a crisis far more insidious,
Oh.
yet equally terrifying.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The very air we breathe
Oh, jeez.
becoming hostile.
All right. I'm intrigued.
So take a deep breath.
Take a deep breath.
We delve into a world where oxygen levels are plummeting
Okay.
and humanity faces a silent, suffocating demise.
A much quieter apocalypse.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Our focus here will be on the desperate ingenuity sparked by this crisis
Okay.
and the unlikely individual who offers a glimmer of hope.
Interesting.
So,
This story forces us to confront our fundamental dependence on something so basic, so seemingly limitless.
right, we just take it for granted.
We really do,
Yeah.
but we rarely give it a second thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a stark reminder of the delicate balance
Right.
that sustains life on our planet.
So for you, the learner,
For you, the learner.
these flash fiction stories offer more than just a thrill ride. They provide unique lenses through which to examine global catastrophe
Very interesting.
and, crucially, the spectrum of human responses to the unthinkable.
Right.
So get ready for some real aha
Moments.
as we explore the resilience, the ingenuity,
Yeah.
and even the darkly comedic aspects that can emerge when facing ultimate disaster.
The humor in the darkness.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's dive into this first one. Groundhog Day from Hell.
All right, Groundhog Day from Hell. Let's do it.
The story opens with Anya, a scientist,
Okay.
waking up to that first jarring repetition.
The first loop?
Yeah.
Okay.
What can you tell us about her initial reaction
Well,
and how it evolves?
what's compelling is Anya's initial scientific approach.
Okay.
You know, the first few repetitions are treated almost as a data point,
Okay.
a potential anomaly in her experiment.
Right.
She's calculating it, trying to understand the why.
I see.
But as the repetitions mount,
Uh-huh.
that clinical detachment gives way to a deeply personal dread. The 10th time,
Yes.
the 23rd time,
Yeah.
it's no longer a puzzle.
Right.
It's a terrifying prison.
Wow.
And this relentless repetition exposes a fundamental human need for novelty and progression,
That's interesting.
potentially linking to our brain's reward systems
Right.
and how they adapt to predictable stimuli.
So like our brains crave new information.
Exactly.
Right.
It raises questions about how a lack of change could fundamentally alter our sense of self and motivation.
Right.
What would you do faced with that unending monotony?
Oh, it's a really good question.
Yeah.
It really does make you wonder.
It is.
By the 23rd repetition,
Mhm.
Anya isn't just panicking.
Right.
She's actively searching for others who are aware,
Okay.
who remember.
Yeah.
And it's the genesis of this clandestine group, the Rememberers.
The Rememberers.
We have Anya, the scientist, at the heart of it.
Okay.
Kai, this reckless teenage genius.
A fascinating contrast in personality.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Then Eli, the pragmatic ex-soldier, and Nisha, an autistic coworker whose profound sensitivity to patterns becomes absolutely vital.
Interesting.
Imagine this small secret society
Yeah.
trying to navigate an apocalypse
Right.
that the vast majority of the world
Most people
doesn't even realize is happening.
have no idea.
It's wild.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Their hushed meetings, the need for secrecy in a
Brilliant.
world that will simply reset,
Yeah.
underscore the surreal nature of their predicament.
Absolutely.
Anya, who may have inadvertently triggered this, is now grappling with equations that offer no escape.
Right.
Eli, in his military mindset, is likely searching for tangible exits.
Okay.
In a reality where physical location ceases to have long-term significance.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right.
Nothing matters
Yeah.
if it's just going to reset.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Nisha's attunement to patterns, normally a source of stability, now serves as a constant, stark reminder of their temporal confinement.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's fascinating. Kai's wildcard element is also key here.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because as the repetitions pile up,
Uh-huh.
the story mentions the 100th reset,
Oh, wow.
almost breaking Anya.
You can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Kai who triggers this unexpected shift.
Okay.
He doesn't descend into despair.
All right.
He lashes out with a kind of defiant joy.
Interesting.
He steals a truck, goes on a destructive joyride,
Oh, wow.
and returns utterly unconcerned
Geez.
because he knows it will all be undone.
It'll be reset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Screw consequence. He essentially declares.
Wow.
That's a massive turning point, isn't it?
Huge turning point.
Yeah.
It introduces the unpredictable element of human agency into what seems like an utterly fixed reality, while seemingly nihilistic.
Right.
Could Kai's action also be interpreted as a primal assertion of self
Interesting.
in a world stripped of individual agency?
Okay, yeah, that's a good point.
His reckless act, born from frustration, becomes the first crack in the seemingly immutable loop.
I see.
What's fascinating here is the idea that even within a perfect repeating cycle,
Yeah.
human behavior driven by emotion and the desire for freedom can introduce unforeseen variables.
Okay, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And that act of rebellion ignites this evolving resistance.
Okay.
Eli starts this brutal training regimen.
Oh, wow.
The idea that even if their memories are wiped clean,
Right.
muscle memory might provide a persistent advantage.
Oh, interesting.
Nisha begins meticulously mapping the unchanging world,
Okay.
searching for the tiniest anomaly,
Right.
the slightest deviation.
Trying to find a crack in the system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Anya, the scientist who initially sought an elegant mathematical solution,
Mm-hmm.
starts contemplating brute force,
Oh, wow.
actively attacking the time loop.
Interesting.
The story talks about leaving scars on its perfection.
That's such a visceral image.
Yeah, isn't it?
It signifies a crucial shift from passive victims to active agents.
I see.
They're no longer just enduring the loop. They're attempting to exert some form of control over it.
They're fighting back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Eli's focus on muscle memory suggests a fascinating understanding of how different forms of knowledge persist.
Right.
Nisha's detailed mapping is an attempt to find a weakness, an exploitable flaw in the repeating reality.
Right.
And Anya's consideration of brute force indicates a move beyond logical solutions,
Yeah.
a willingness to try anything to break free.
It's like they're getting desperate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Desperate times call for desperate measures.
And then we start to see these subtle glitches.
Okay.
Power flickers technology malfunctioning.
Oh, interesting.
The world itself seemed to be skipping or stuttering in response to their actions.
So the loop is being affected.
Yeah.
Wow.
That has to be a glimmer of hope for them, right?
It has to be.
This seemingly flawless loop isn't so flawless after all.
Right. Their actions are having an impact.
Yeah.
These anomalies provide tangible evidence that their actions, however small they might seem in the grand scheme of a repeating universe, are having some kind of impact.
Yeah, making a difference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It suggests the loop isn't a completely closed system,
Okay.
that there might be vulnerabilities they can exploit.
I see.
This raises intriguing questions about the nature of the time loop itself.
Right.
Is it a fragile construct?
Mhm.
Is it self-repairing?
That's a good question.
These glitches offer the first concrete sign that their rebellion might not be entirely futile.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
The ending is so powerful.
It is.
They don't manage to escape, not in the traditional sense of becoming heroes who save the world.
Right.
But they become these outlaws against time?
Outlaws against time. That's a good way to put it.
There's this vicious satisfaction in their defiance.
They're not giving up.
No, they're not.
They're going down fighting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the final thought it leaves you with, can they ever truly break free? Or are they doomed to this eternal rebellion?
Yeah.
It's a really unsettling,
It is,
but completely gripping conclusion.
It leaves you thinking.
Yeah, it is.
The lack of a neat resolution is what makes the story so resonant.
I agree.
Their victory isn't one of escape, but of asserting their agency in a situation designed to strip them of it.
Right.
This vicious satisfaction speaks to a fundamental human need for purpose and resistance.
Right.
Even in the face of overwhelming odds.
Yeah, no matter what, we want to fight back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The open question of their ultimate fate leaves you, the listener,
Yes.
to ponder the very nature of free will versus determinism.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
All right, let's now turn our apocalyptic probe to our second flash fiction story. Take a deep breath.
Take a deep breath. Here we go.
This one begins with this incredibly eerie, silent signal.
Okay.
Birds simply falling from the sky.
Oh, wow.
Anya, this time reimagined as a biologist, is among the first to recognize that something is profoundly wrong.
Okay.
Even before the news outlets catch up.
Right.
With the terrifying reality of global hypoxia.
Global hypoxia.
It's such a different kind of apocalypse, isn't it?
It really is.
Not explosions and chaos.
Right.
But a quiet, creeping suffocation.
Yeah, it's a much slower burn.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Yeah.
The silence of the falling birds is a pertinent and unsettling image of a crisis that isn't immediately loud or visually destructive.
Right. It's sneaky.
It is.
Yeah.
It underscores the insidious nature of this particular apocalypse.
Right.
A gradual, invisible threat targeting our most basic biological imperative.
Our need to breathe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anya's scientific background allows her to interpret this early warning sign,
Okay.
highlighting the importance of ecological awareness.
Right. We need to pay attention to these signs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This scenario starkly illustrates our dependence on a seemingly infinite resource.
Like oxygen.
Like the air we breathe, forcing us to confront the implications of ecological thresholds.
Cool.
And the speed at which essential life support systems can degrade.
I see.
Often without immediate dramatic warning signs.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
And then the story introduces this unlikely figure of hope.
All right.
A rumpled, ranting scientist with his seemingly outlandish artificial atmosphere contraption.
Interesting.
The narrative really emphasizes the contrast between Anya's grounded scientific approach and his almost manic desperation.
Oh, wow.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
This cobbled-together technology becoming humanity's last fragile hope.
That's a lot of pressure.
Oh, yeah.
The juxtaposition of these two characters creates a compelling dynamic.
Yeah.
Anya embodies a more conventional, perhaps cautious scientific method.
Right.
While the old scientist represents a more unconventional, almost visionary approach driven by urgency.
Okay.
His mad scientist persona suggests that in extreme circumstances, unorthodox thinking and a willingness to experiment can be crucial.
You got to think outside the box.
You do.
Yeah.
The jury-rigged nature of his invention underscores the desperation of the situation and the need for resourceful solutions with limited means.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
The team that forms around this desperate endeavor is another fascinating collection of individuals pushed to their limits.
Interesting.
Eli, the hardened ex-soldier, now surprisingly gentle with delicate machinery.
Oh, wow.
Nisha, the quiet observer whose insights are rooted in data. And Z, the rebellious hacker.
Okay.
They create this makeshift haven.
Right.
A tiny bubble of breathable air against the ever-worsening atmosphere outside.
So they're creating their own little safe space.
Yeah, exactly.
This diverse group highlights the array of skills and perspectives that become invaluable in a crisis.
Yeah, you need people with all sorts of talents.
You really do.
Yeah.
Eli's unexpected dexterity with the machinery shows the adaptability of human skills. Nisha's data analysis provides a crucial understanding of their dwindling resources and the external threat
Right.
And these hacking abilities offer a lifeline to the outside world, even as it collapses.
Right. They can still connect in some way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Their haven becomes a microcosm of human resilience,
I see.
demonstrating our capacity to cooperate and innovate under immense pressure.
We can still work together.
We can.
Even when things are falling apart.
Even when things are really bad.
Yeah, that's hopeful.
It is.
And then we have the almost darkly humorous triumph.
Okay.
The first functional artificial lungs.
Artificial lungs? Wow.
Given these grand, almost mythological names.
Okay.
Gaia Prometheus Hephaestus.
Interesting names.
It's a bittersweet victory, isn't it?
It is.
This incredible achievement of creating breathable air in a world that no longer naturally provides it.
Yeah.
Yet it underscores the tragedy of the loss.
It does.
Yeah.
The names inject a layer of irony and a touch of the absurd into a profoundly serious situation.
I see.
Gaia the Earth representing what they've lost.
Yeah.
Prometheus, who stole fire for humanity. Here, perhaps representing the stealing back of breathable air.
Okay.
And Hephaestus, the god of invention.
Right.
Reflecting the ingenuity born of necessity.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. The bittersweetness lies in the realization that this is a localized technological fix for a global natural catastrophe.
It's not a permanent solution.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's a temporary Band-Aid.
And that harsh reality hits hard.
It does.
Their haven, as remarkable as it is just a temporary island in a growing ocean of unbreathable air.
A shrinking island, you could say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The oxygen levels continue their inexorable decline.
It's a ticking clock.
It really is.
Yeah.
It forces us to confront this really fundamental question.
Okay.
What happens when even the most brilliant technological Band-Aid isn't enough?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It forces us to confront the limitations of purely technological solutions to fundamental environmental crises.
Yeah, technology can only take us so far.
Exactly. While innovation can offer crucial temporary relief and buy us time, it may not always be capable of reversing large-scale ecological shifts.
That's a good point.
This raises difficult ethical questions about resource allocation.
Okay.
The sustainability of such localized efforts and the long-term prospects for humanity.
Yeah, are we just delaying the inevitable?
It's a possibility.
Z makes this incredibly bold, almost defiant decision.
Okay.
Instead of just focusing on their own survival, they broadcast the blueprint for their artificial air system.
Wow.
Not as a plea for help.
Okay.
Because as she bluntly puts it, everyone else is likely screwed.
Yeah, that's pretty blunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as a means of sharing a potential for localized resistance.
Interesting.
This idea of scattered pockets of survival emerging in a dying world is both bleak and strangely inspiring.
It's a mixed bag for sure.
Yeah.
Z's action represents a shift from a purely self-preservationist instinct to a broader, almost altruistic vision of survival.
They're thinking about the bigger picture.
They are.
Yeah.
It's an acknowledgement of the limitations of their own sanctuary, but a belief in the potential for others with the knowledge to create their own.
Yeah, to spread the knowledge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This act of sharing crucial information even in the face of overwhelming odds, speaks to a fundamental human desire to help and to ensure the continuation of humanity in some form, however fractured.
That's a powerful message.
It is.
The final moments are so evocative.
They are.
Anya's fading vision punctuated by these faint flickering signals of other resistance efforts echoing their own desperate struggle.
It's like a little bit of hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the old scientist's harsh triumph, not saving the world, but giving it the tools to potentially save itself.
Giving them a fighting chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One precarious breath at a time.
One breath at a time.
It's not a fairy tale ending.
It's not.
But it's a powerful testament to the enduring human spirit.
It is.
In the face of utter devastation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The ending underscores the idea that even in the face of global catastrophe, individual and localized acts of ingenuity and resistance can have a profound impact.
Right.
Even if they don't represent a complete solution.
Every little bit helps.
It does.
Yeah.
The old man's achievement isn't in averting the apocalypse.
Right.
But in empowering others with the means to confront it on their own terms.
I see.
Fostering a distributed form of hope.
So it's about spreading that knowledge and empowering others.
That's exactly.
So what do these apocalyptic probes leave you contemplating the learner?
What do they leave you thinking about?
Groundhog Day from Hell compels us to consider the very nature of time, consequence, and the deep-seated human need for change and progress, even when faced with infinite repetition.
Yeah.
What aspects of your daily routine would become unbearable if repeated endlessly?
Ooh, good question.
At what point would the lack of consequence liberate you?
Interesting.
Or drive you to a new form of rebellion against the monotony?
Yeah. Would you embrace the chaos?
And Take a Deep Breath presents a starkly contrasting scenario,
Okay.
highlighting our fundamental, often overlooked reliance on the natural world.
Right. We take it for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the potent power of human ingenuity born from absolute desperation.
It's amazing what we can do when we're pushed.
It really is.
Yeah.
It prompts you to consider what seemingly invisible systems are absolutely essential to our survival, and what are the potential cascading effects when those systems begin to fail.
Like dominoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could localized, community-driven solutions be a viable path forward
Interesting.
in the face of overwhelming global challenges?
It's a possibility.
These flash fiction stories,
Yeah.
while brief in their telling,
Right.
offer profound food for thought about our relationship with time, our environment, and our own capacity for resilience.
They really make you think.
They do.
Yeah.
They remind us that the end of the world as we imagine it can manifest in myriad forms.
So many different ways it could end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some dramatic and destructive,
Yeah.
others silent and insidious.
Right. A slow burn or a sudden explosion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We hope this apocalyptic probe has ignited your curiosity
Hopefully.
and perhaps offered a fresh perspective on the challenges
Right.
and the surprising potential for ingenuity
Yeah.
that might emerge in the face of the unthinkable.
We can surprise ourselves.
We can.
Absolutely.
They serve as compelling thought experiments,
Yeah.
allowing us to explore extreme scenarios
Right.
and contemplate the spectrum of human responses under pressure.
It's a safe way to explore these ideas.
It is.
Yeah.
All within the safe confines of fiction.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity to consider fundamental questions about survival, adaptation, and the human spirit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For more captivating tales.
Oh, yes.
And apocalyptic probes into the wild world of flash fiction.
More apocalyptic probe.
Be sure to rate and follow the Just Nuke It podcast.
Rate and follow.
We'll be back next week
Back next week.
with another dive into fascinating end-of-world scenarios.
Can't wait.